Brandon Driver here with Electric Auto Squad. Leasing versus financing. I have literally helped hundreds of people make their decision between leasing and financing in my years as a salesperson at Tesla. Here are my honest thoughts about which is better for you. I'm going to break it down, and I'm also going to work to earn your like and subscribe by the end of this video. So check in with me at the end to see if I did so. First, leasing. Think of leasing as renting the car for 3 years. Leases can vary how long they go, but for this video, we're going to talk about a lease being 3 years long. Leases have some great benefits. Lower monthly payments, an easy exit strategy, meaning you're signing an agreement to return the car at the end of 3 years. You don't have to worry about selling it or trading it in. You know what you're doing. Usually your car is under warranty for the entire duration of the lease, meaning if you ever have a problem with it, you're probably not worried about fixing your car. Leases are often easier to be approved for, as you have a lower number of payments usually than financing. And if you own a business, then it might be extra beneficial to you to lease a vehicle. Talk to a CPA about that, but there are some extra laws that help business owners. They do have some downsides. You have a mileage limit on a lease, meaning you're agreeing to drive the car around for 3 years. And in that time, you're kind of agreeing to a number of miles that you're not going to go over. Cars depreciate with extra miles, so you're agreeing you're not going to depreciate the car too much. Usually leases will go 10, 12, or 15,000 miles per year. So if you drive a lot, that might be not so good of a thing for you. Leases are difficult to get out of early. If you decide a year or two in, you know what, I'm not a big fan of this car, or you know what, I just don't want this anymore, then you're either going to be going for a very expensive option or a very difficult option. There's usually no in between. It's doable, but difficult. You also don't really have any ownership or equity in the car, meaning your payments are going into your agreement to rent. You're not making any payments into the value of the car. I'll explain that more when I get to the financing. You also are responsible for going over your miles and any damage that's on the car, and you'll have to pay for anything that's not how it's supposed to be when the car is returned. So let me give you an example of someone who's a great candidate for a lease. I knew one gentleman who owned a Model S and loved his car, had had it for about 3 years, was financing it, and he decided, you know what? I love my wife. She's been begging for a Model X all this time. Fine. I'm going to buy a Model X. How do I do this? What can I do to trade this in? And unfortunately, there had been a couple of pretty big changes in the Model S in recent years, and his car's value had gone down quite a lot. And so he was bummed at his trade-in value. And he also told me, you know, I really don't want to go and sell this private party. I don't want to deal with anyone else. I just want to trade it in, but isn't there anything that can be done? And unfortunately, his car's value was just low. So he was bummed, and he had mentioned on his way out, you know, if I had known that this would happen, I probably would have leased it at the beginning. And here we are 3 years later, I would have paid less every month, and I would have had a better exit strategy. And I understood. But his wife was happy, and that's all that matters, right? Number 2, financing. Think of financing as you talking to a bank or a financer and saying, look, I want to buy this $50,000 car here. I want you to give me a check for the $50,000, and then I'll pay you back over 6 years, and I'll pay you back once a month. Financing has some great benefits. There is no mileage limit. You're not going to get dinged for how often you drive your car. You can sell your car anytime you'd like to. You can private sell it. You can list it up on Facebook or Craigslist. You can go through another third party. There are a lot of organizations out there that will buy your car from you, like CarMax. But you don't have a signed agreement that says you're going to give the car back in 3 years. You can keep the car for 2 years or for 20 years. It's up to you. Payments build up equity, meaning every time you make a monthly payment, yes, you're paying a little bit of interest, but you're going into owning the car. Even though cars are depreciating assets, you still will have some value by the time you finish financing that car. There are some downsides. The monthly payments are often a little bit higher when you're financing. A lot of people don't want to worry about private selling these days. It's just a bummer, and people can be a bummer, and the process can be a bummer. And trade-ins are not really ever fun conversations because everyone always is hoping for a better value than what you think you deserve. By the way, go check out kvb.com if you ever need a value for your trade-in car. It'll help curb the surprise. Your warranty will expire at some point, so if you're planning on keeping it longer than whatever the warranty is for your car, then gotta be aware that the value of your car will decrease when that happens. And it can be harder to get approved because you have a lot more payments, and 6 years is a long time to be making payments as opposed to 3. Okay, here's an example of a guy who leased who probably should have financed. He had 10,000 miles over the mileage limit on his lease, and it was a few months away from him needing to hand back his car in. We talked about it. He asked, what are my options? What can I do? And one thing you can do if you're over that far is buy a beater car or something to just last you for a bit. And unfortunately, that was just something he was too busy to do. And so he ended up handing back in the car, and he ended up paying a good chunk of money. We're talking a few $1,000s because he was over so many miles on his lease. And in hindsight, he wished that if he had financed it, he might have been in a slightly better situation because he drove a lot, and getting that lease ended up not being such a good idea. There's actually a third option here, leasing to buy. Think of this as if you're doing a lease, a lot of car makers will have an option where you can buy that car at the end of leasing it. So after you've rented it for 3 years from the company, you can say, oh, you know what? I love this car. Or, you know what? My family adores this. My kids are hooked. They drew dinosaurs in the leather in the back seats with little crayons, and we just have to keep that. Then you just basically are financing a used car. It just happens to be your car. This is the most expensive option. The monthly payments on this technically will be the lowest in owning the car, but you're making payments on the car for 9 years if you're going to lease it for 3 and then finance it for 6. Checking in, did I earn your like and subscribe yet? Please do so. It boosts this channel's value and it triggers the YouTube algorithm, which greatly boosts this channel's findability. So thank you very much. Okay, fourthly, I'm going to talk about should you lease or buy. If you watching this video right now are a business owner, or you don't drive a lot, or you're going to want the latest and greatest tech every few years, leasing is probably not a bad option for you. If you are the kind of person that doesn't buy a car very often, or you want to hang on to it for a very long time, or you want to save up some equity in the car, or you want to be able to get out anytime you want and just sell your car, then it sounds like financing is probably the better option for you. What are your thoughts on leasing versus financing? Go and check out my Linktree link in the description and jump into my Discord or tweet at me on Twitter, and I'd love to discuss this more. And if you're a friend who's looking to get into an electric vehicle, send me an email, hello@electricautosquad.com. Stay safe.